Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
For it now. And picked up by Sobieski, right side. Sobieski below the goal line for Viniski. Back to Sobieski. He's got space. They read it. They've made and they score! 3-0 Reno, working the puck around the net. Sobieski from the high slot sent it back door. It's kicked off, and it is punched home by Matt Robinson, finding the loose change. Another TNT yard service goal. 9-18-20. Jeff Giron and Sobieski, the D-men, coming low, getting the assists on the play. 8-13, the time of your goal.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by Boston Hemp Inc. Tuesday, March 19th. Ian Cameron, Matt Robinson, or I don't know if it's Mario Lemieux I'm talking to here. I might be mistaken here. Terry Edelman also with us here on this Tuesday edition of the Ice Guys show. And for those of you that are listening in podcast form, not watching on YouTube, you're wondering what that clip was that we played after the intro of the show that is the normal intro for every day. That was indeed our very own Matt Robinson in the first period of a game for the Reno Ice Raiders Friday night against Vegas, scoring a goal and getting a 3-point first period performance in that game as well, including that goal that you just saw. So when the senior A Hockey League ranks, shout out to him. I know that there is some little corner of the world that you could have found maybe in a Nevada book. We could have found some props on this game. And like I said, it's a total missed opportunity for me. Goal plus 1,500 and over 1.5 points at plus 8,000, 80-1 for Matt Robinson in that game. Missed opportunity. Could have really cashed in big. But in all seriousness, Matt, well done. And I know you sent that video clip to me, and I figured, you know what, let's pull a little surprise here to start the show and play that for our viewing audience and listening audience. But Matt, you're ripping it up there in that league. Way to go.
Yeah, thanks. It's fun to be back on the ice. Obviously, we talked a couple of weeks ago. I got to get in one game of the Sun Valley series, but this was the first weekend back where I played in both games. So between those two games and then Sunday's festivities for St. Patrick's Day, I'm even on Tuesday, I'm still hurting a little bit. But no, it was great. The boys got 2 wins. We ended up winning pretty bad on Friday night, but Saturday was a little closer game. It was kind of back and forth until the third. We kind of scored a couple goals late to kind of run away with it. But no, fun series, both sold out games. So a lot of good fans here in Reno that love senior A hockey. And, when there's not a lot of professional sports to go to, it's a good time. And, people have drinks and, are loud. And so it's always fun being out there. So yeah, it was a good weekend.
Hey, when you have that many goals in senior A hockey during a game, who the fuck wouldn't want to turn out and watch? I mean, there's the defense and goaltending optional, in most senior leagues. And I know it's that way here for the Dundas Real McCoys in my little town. They're again 7-5, 8-7 shootouts every single night. And definitely that's more the norm when it comes to senior hockey. Lots of goals. If you like offense, senior A hockey is definitely your thing. I heard the commentator, whoever it was that was doing play-by-play of that game, making it sound like you were on LTIR. Matt Robinson back from the injury list. The LT. It sounded like you were on LTIR there. They're trying to load up for the playoffs and make sure things don't add up from the salary cap.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I had a shoulder injury early in the year, and then I wasn't even sure I was going to come back at all this season or ever potentially, but the shoulder's been feeling good, so I was like, you know what, why not get back out there? So it was fun. My mom drove down Friday night for the game, so she was there to see that goal, which is always cool. And then again, had a good game Saturday. So yeah, it was a great weekend. And then obviously St. Patrick's Day, which I know we chatted a little bit back and forth, but definitely had a couple libations on Sunday to enjoy. It was 65 degrees Fahrenheit here in Reno. Sun was out, so it was a perfect day. So definitely a great weekend.
No doubt. A great weekend. And you're right, St. Patrick's Day just added to it. And I love that they had the green jersey theme going for St. Patrick's Day for that Reno-Vegas game that Matt participated in as well. Let's quickly talk There's not really much to say. There was only 2 games. A very good night, even though there was only 2 games for me. I felt that game was an overspot with the Capitals and the Flames, and it turned out that way. And I know Washington had struggled to score goals, but at the end of a road trip, I expected their defense to be, a little lax, and I expected Washington to get their offense going a little bit, and I still was not sold on Calgary's defense. Even though they played better, and we've talked about how I want to target overs and team total overs with opponents against Calgary because they're not the same blue line without Hanifin and Tanev traded away at the deadline. I stuck with it yesterday. It's like they're not going to just – Vegas was flat as a pancake when they beat Vegas. Montreal just saw Marty St. Louis depart the team for personal reasons right before that game started. So you could say Calgary was gift-wrapped 2 good performances defensively because Vegas was flat. Montreal was just, I think, after seeing the coach suddenly depart, maybe they didn't have their best foot forward in that game. Let's see how they would do last night against Washington. And sure enough, back to the old Flames. Some breakdowns. They didn't do a great job helping out Dustin Wolf in that game. And it was a Capitals rather comfortable victory last night, 5-2 against the Calgary Flames. So nice to hit the over in that game. And then the best bet last night for me, Buffalo. I mean, I was shocked Buffalo was that price against Seattle. Seattle has fallen apart. It's all over but the crying in the Emerald City as far as the playoff hopes are concerned. It's done. They're 11 points back. They've been absolutely just completely lifeless, lethargic. And just I think their spirit has been crushed with this last week where they blew the game against Vegas. They lost to Washington at home, not a loss you want to have. They fall to Nashville over the weekend. And then, of course, last night, and even with Seattle jumped out quickly and got the first goal, but in the blink of an eye. And then right after that, to give up that lead that quickly, and Buffalo ties it less than a minute into the game. And it just felt like that all over again took the wind out of their sails. And when a team is struggling with their confidence, that's what happens. Something bad happens and you crumble. And that's been happening lately with the Seattle Kraken. Buffalo, what a great response from them, the entire team, after a setback against Detroit on Saturday afternoon, to not let that fester and not let that build into another loss and maybe a streak in the other direction, to nip it in the bud and get the job done last night against Seattle in convincing fashion, 6-2. And how about our guy, Skinner? Jeff Skinner for the Buffalo Sabres with the had to put a little more gusto in that Skinner for a performance like that. Hat trick for Jeff Skinner last night against the Seattle Kraken, and a 6-2 victory there for the Sabres. And shout out to Brett Skalski in our chat, our Monday guest. He had Seattle team total under 2.5 at +130 for his best bet on the show yesterday. So great call by Brett as well. Matt, I know it's sometimes these light cards, sometimes are days where you just take a little break from hockey, watching it, betting it. So that might be true again about last night, but either way, any thoughts you have about Monday?
Yeah, I didn't really watch too much of the games, but I did bet a couple bets because I did watch the show yesterday. So I was on Brett's Seattle team total under, which is rare for me to take an under, but I just liked it in that spot. And when it was 3-2 after the first, I was sweating it a little bit, but I was glad Buffalo was able to kind of turn it on and shut them down the rest of the way. I was on Buffalo, so I did hit both best bets. And then I had the over in both games, which obviously hit. And then I had the over first period in the Buffalo-Seattle game, which very easily hit.
I'll say one fucking minute, you're a winner. Hit. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I had a couple prop bets that missed and things like that. But overall, it was a good day for a 2-game slate. And again, one of those days where, because of the light volume and I didn't really have an interest in either game, I just kind of put my bets in around noon and then, checked my MGM app around, 8, 9 o'clock and was like, oh, I made a little money. So, but yeah, not a ton to talk about, but excited for the card today. There's a lot of games. There's a couple that I hate just because we're getting to that point in that season where you've got like a team really gearing up for the playoffs, a team that's out, so the numbers are way off and, things like that. But definitely some good games coming up tonight. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, no question about that. Speaking of Brett Skalski, he's going to be on the show again with us for a bonus appearance tomorrow on the Wednesday edition of the show. He'll be back with us, joining me and Terry. And Terry, by the way, is going to be on with us again tomorrow as well, and might be on a day or two beyond that this week as well. Alex, by the way, forgot to mention this off the top of the show. He will make his official return on Saturday on the Ice Guys show, where he's going to take the week to, be with mom back home, who's on the mend, by the way. Good signs, good improvement we're hearing from Alex's mother. So that's great to hear. That's awesome news. But again, she's got a little bit of limited mobility right now. So he needs to be close by with her right now. So he'll be back Saturday with us on the show this weekend. Terry, how was the Monday night card for you?
Yeah, well, I only had one play, Washington. Washington.
Oh, well, I'd say it went well.
Yes, yeah, it went pretty well. So can't complain. Cashing a dog to get with the Caps. They played so well against Calgary, 6-1-1 heading into this game. Washington fighting for a playoff spot, playing so well. I just was shocked that I was getting them at that price. So took the Caps, stayed off the Sabres game. Really didn't have a good feel for that one, so stayed off. But can't complain. 1-0 night in NHL, 1-0 in NBA. So a sweep yesterday.
There we go. Yeah, 1-0 night is profit, and that's the bottom line. People will look at it and say, "Yeah, it was only 1-0. Yeah, it's profit." We'll take profit any day of the week when you're doing this 7 days a week, 365 days a year. I'll take some profit tonight, and we'll certainly try to make it happen with this huge Tuesday card. And we'll begin with Columbus taking on Detroit. We've got the Red Wings -170, home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. Can't get to Detroit at -170. Just won't do it. Can't do it. But this is a spot where, look, if this team's serious about being a wild card team, you got to get the job done in this kind of spot at home against the Columbus Blue Jackets, who just got bombed on home ice on Sunday, 6-1 by the Winnipeg Jets in that game. We'll see if the Red Wings can respond from it's unfortunate for them. They snapped that brutal 7-game losing streak with pretty solid performance on home ice Saturday afternoon against Buffalo, 4-1, and you follow it up with a 6-3 game against the Pittsburgh Penguins on Sunday, where again Alex Lyon talked about it. The good news is they don't have to deal with that anymore. He is not in as the starting goalie tonight. It will be James. It has to be James Reimer. I would have lost it today. I would have absolutely gone apeshit on fucking Newsy Lalonde if he had started Alex Lyon tonight again. In this game, but thankfully he's smarter than that. And James Reimer will be in net tonight for the Detroit Red Wings. I don't hate Alex Lyon. He's a very good kid, very good goalie, and he can be a very good goalie. He needs a rest. He's physically and mentally burnt out. I've said it for weeks on this show. It's obvious. It's as clear as fucking day that the guy has hit a wall physically, mentally. You can see it in his movement in the crease. He's off his angles. He's spitting out rebounds that he shouldn't. So it's about time that Alex Lyon gets a blow here, gets a rest, and it'll be James Reimer getting the start here in net for the Detroit Red Wings in this game. It was very good in the game where they snapped their losing streak against Buffalo, allowing just 1 goal on 26 shots in that game. Daniil Tarasov will get the start here for Columbus. He's actually been better than Merzlikins, and we got more evidence of that when Merzlikins got roughed up by Winnipeg over the weekend. So, interesting matchup here between these two teams. Detroit's won 4 of the last 5 meetings against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Although it's been a kind of a weird series where, Detroit's been able to really dominate Columbus in Columbus, but in Detroit, we've actually seen the Blue Jackets take 2 of the last 3 meetings here in Detroit against the Detroit Red Wings. So fascinating matchup here. I do think Reimer gives them a better chance right now in net than Alex Lyon, clearly at this point in time. But I still think when you look at series history here, we have seen, more high-scoring affairs than not between these two teams. And, Reimer was very good, and Tarasov's been better current form than Merzlikins on the Columbus side. But if you start to look at some of the history here with these two teams, we've seen a lot of first-period overs. We've seen a lot of full-game overs. So, I am going to be, it's not my favorite over bifecta or over trifecta on this card, but I am going to get in on the over bifecta here with the Blue Jackets and the Red Wings, over the 1.5, over the 6.5 in this matchup. Nothing on the side. No draw. No, not Detroit, not Columbus. I think it's just let it play out. Red Wings should win this game. I'm not interested at -170, and I don't trust Columbus enough to spring an upset. What do you think here in this one, Matt? Columbus, Detroit.
Yeah, pregame, I'm definitely on the over by Fecta as well. I do think, if you really feel strongly about Detroit, then maybe a regulation isn't a bad look. But what I also may try and do, just since this is one of the early games, is if I see Columbus score pretty quickly in the first period, then I might try and jump on the Wings, because I just feel like they're in a position that they need this win. But I'm not going to lay -170 on them. I don't trust them yet. They finally look like they're figuring it out a little bit. But just given how bad they were for so many games in a row, I'm not sold on them yet, especially at that price. So I'll probably just be on the first period and full game over. And then I might try and sneak in Detroit if Columbus happens to score early. Just, maybe you'll get good odds there. So might be something to look at.
And remember the Buffalo win on Saturday. Buffalo scored first. Buffalo took a 1-0 lead in that game Saturday afternoon, and then Detroit ripped off the next 4 goals, and they won 4-1. So that's a good angle there by Matt. I think if Columbus scores first, which could happen, I think Detroit live might be a nice look there. You'll get a nice plus money price at that point in the game. Might be worth a look. As far as props go, I mean, we have to look clearly at Lucas Raymond right now for the Red Wings. I mean, he's heating up. He's on a bit of a goal-scoring streak. The prices are still not bargain bin range, but you're still getting him well north of +200 to score a goal for someone that's been obviously rolling right now for the Red Wings. You can argue he's been their best forward here the last few games for sure. So keep that in mind. In this game, that's definitely a clear prop look that might be worth something here as well. And I'll tell you this too, a sneaky one might be, and he's been shooting the puck a lot lately, getting some chances, did score against Buffalo. That's Sprong. Daniel Sprong for the Detroit Red Wings. He has been, a sneaky little under the radar offensive producer lately for this team. And by the way, Dylan Larkin's still out. Looks like Michael Rasmussen as well for the Red Wings illness. He's a game time decision for tonight. Keep in mind too, Columbus, they are still banged up a little bit, and that's probably factoring into part. Now they're not playing well, but a lot of it is personnel, and we saw it in that Winnipeg loss. I mean, they're down quite a few key players. Danforth and Shinikov's out now. Fantilli, of course, has been out for a while. Kent Johnson on IR, Laine on IR. Adam Boqvist, the defenseman, now is out as well for Columbus. So that's kind of why I think the overs might be in play. I think Columbus could be, again, defensively vulnerable right now. Boqvist's actually one of their steadier defenders in his own end too, so missing him will hurt the Blue Jackets here tonight and moving forward if he misses more time. Terry, what do you think here? Blue Jackets, Red Wings.
Yeah, this from a side perspective, this one is tough for me. I think the Red Wings win. They should win here at home with their playoff lives on the line, but I can't lay this price with them. I can't take regulation either. Columbus can be a sneaky dog. They're just not playing well either right now. For me, it's props here in this one. Alex Nylander, over 2.5 shots on goal. He's done that in 8 of his last 11 games. -115 for him to get 3 shots. I think he can do that on the top line for the Blue Jackets. Then you mentioned him, Ian, gave it out on this Sunday show. Lucas Raymond, anytime goal, +240. I got it at. I'm a streaks better. I've been on him. He's scored in 4 games in a row. I've been on 2 of them, and I will bet it until it ends. So hopefully he can score again tonight here against Columbus and cash another +240.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, Nylander props again on the Columbus side. Couldn't argue with that either. He's getting chances. Even the games he doesn't score, he's involved and he's getting chances every single night. All right, one of the games of the night for sure, the Winnipeg Jets and the New York Rangers. We've got the Rangers -125 home favorites at MSG, 5.5 being the total in this game. Great matchup this has the potential to be. Eastern Conference versus Western Conference. The goaltending matchup is the one we all want to see. Connor Hellebuck for Winnipeg, Igor Shesterkin for the New York Rangers. I mean, you can't ask for much more than this. And speaking of great matchup and great goaltending, it's probably been part of the reason why we've seen actually a very, very heavy under series history with these two teams to the tune of 6 straight between the Jets and the Rangers have gone under the total going into this game, and I couldn't argue with that. Now, I know the Rangers, have gone over in 3 straight games, but you look at these matchups, the Islanders' defense and goaltending, the last few have been shaky. Pittsburgh can't defend anything, so you can't put too much stock into that game going over the total. And, same with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, is a team that's been scoring more lately, but they've been giving up goals, a little bit more lately. And all season, we know Vasilevsky hasn't played as well. So those 3 overs were a lot of, based on the opponent, the way it went. Tampa, Pittsburgh, Islanders. I think we get back to more of a playoff, tight style of game here tonight between these 2 teams. So this is definitely a game where totals wise, even though I don't bet unders, I would lean that way here with the Jets and the Rangers. Rangers have beaten the Jets, by the way, 5 of the last 6 meetings. Earlier this year in Winnipeg, it was a 3-2 win for the Rangers in overtime here in this matchup. And the Rangers, of course, they're playing well, 5-1 in their last 6 games. Remember, they had that little hiccup. They lost to Toronto and Florida. I mean, their 3 losses in the last 9 games have come to Toronto, Florida, and Tampa. So you really can't complain too much about any of those. No bad losses in the mix. Winnipeg, they're also in pretty good form. They're also 6-3 in their last 9 games. Their losses have come to a red-hot Nashville team. Vancouver, there's no shame in that. The one loss they probably want back is Seattle, who we know have been struggling. But, this should be a really good hockey game. Looking forward to it between these 2 teams. The only thing I have pregame is a sprinkle on the draw, just simply because I expect a close game. We saw overtime in Winnipeg between the Rangers and the Jets back in October. So I'll take my chance that maybe we get past 60 minutes. And again, another one of these games, East versus West. Jets don't care about the Rangers getting any points. Rangers don't care about the Jets getting any points out of this game. So they'll be content for overtime if it's tied late in the 3rd period. So sprinkle on the draw for me. That's about it. Matt, what do you think here? Jets, Rangers.
Yeah, this honestly was going to be a complete pass for me, and not because it's not a great game. Like, this is a game I'm excited to watch. But, I think I lean under here. I'm not going to bet the under, especially if I'm going to tune in because I, want to see goals. But yeah, I could see it being a draw. You may have convinced me just a little bit, just given the fact that it's 2 playoff teams in separate conferences. Winnipeg's in that tight battle in the Central. So, it's one of those games that if it's 2-2, with 12 minutes left, neither team's going to really give anything up and just try and get that point. So I may sprinkle on the draw, but overall it's going to probably be a pass game for me unless I find, a prop bet here or there that I like. But from the sides and totals perspective, this one's not for me.
All right, nothing wrong with that. Big card. It's okay to pass. Toffoli, I like his props for the Jets. He's heating up right now for Winnipeg. And he's on the top power play unit as well. So I'm definitely interested as far as Toffoli goes. Maybe a little Vlad Nemesnikov, too, for a little bargain. He scored the last game for the Jets as well. Trocheck's always worth a look for the Rangers. Panarin's red hot, of course, no doubt about that. Roslovic, as long as he stays in the top 6 is worth a look. But the one I really like for the Rangers tonight, back-to-back games suddenly with a goal for him. And scary to buy in on this kid because every time you start to think he's starting to get it going, it disappears again for the next 15 games. And that's Capo Caco for the New York Rangers. Back-to-back games with a goal. I'll take my shot with him to make it 3 straight with a goal going into this game tonight. What do you think here, Terry? Winnipeg, New York Rangers.
Yeah. Looking at the total, as you said, Ian, this history has been unders. Unders between these teams. Winnipeg has been playing towards the under recently, but the way both teams' offenses, both teams have a lot of players that are really producing right now. So I would be kind of scared to look towards the under, even when we see these great goaltending matchups. I'm trying to think of the last game. I think it was actually Rangers in Florida, which is a very heavy over history, but 2 good goaltenders there, and the game went over. I'm not going to get to the total here, but I love the Rangers. I cashed Saturday, Sunday puck lines with this Rangers team. For me, Winnipeg, yeah, they just beat up on Columbus and Anaheim. Their last 2 games, they lost to Nashville. 3-0 win against Washington is good. 5-0 loss to Vancouver. This Rangers, that one misstep against Tampa in their last 5, but they're at home here. Give me the Rangers at home to take care of business against the Jets, and I like them here to win the game. Lots of player props you could look at. Nothing that I'm pulling the trigger on singly in this game, but a lot of parlay pieces you could look at in this game with a lot of the top players for both teams.
You know what's funny, too, about both of these goalies? They're bounce-back goalies. They're very good in that regard. Hellebuck's always been good off a loss, and Shesterkin's been very good off a loss, and he showed it against the Islanders. Remember, that was his first start. Remember the 6-3 loss? He was actually in net against Tampa Bay, and he bounced back with that 5-2 victory against the Islanders on Sunday afternoon, St. Paddy's Day. So should be a great game. Looking forward to it. Again, just some the props that I mentioned and a piece of the draw for me here with the Jets and the Rangers tonight. All right, next up, we've got the Ottawa Senators taking on the Boston Bruins. Boston minus 225 home favorites, 6 the total here in this game. I feel from a side perspective, at least from a money line perspective right now with both of these teams, you're not going to see me really endorse Boston much the rest of the way when you're laying this kind of a number. And especially Ottawa, the one thing about them, the Carolina game got away from them in the third period, but that game was 3-2 going into the third. And then all of a sudden, the third period, the roof caved in and Carolina blew them out, ran away with it 7-2. But let's also not forget the Senators dealt the New York Islanders on Saturday afternoon, a very hurtful overtime loss with the Islanders needing every point they can get. So I don't think this is a wave the white flag and they're rolling over situation here for the Ottawa Senators. I think they're going to be able to pop up and spring some upsets when you least expect it, down the stretch here of the regular season, because there's still talent on this team. I mean, Tkachuk and Giroux and Parlay Pinto, as I like to call him, Shane Pinto. There's definitely lots of certainly great up front in terms of what they can do up firepower wise. Brady Tkachuk's playing well. And the captain often leads by example. He's played very well, even though his team's long out of it here these last few games. But I don't know if I can trust Ottawa here tonight, especially with Korpisalo in net. It's been Jonas Korpisalo, as in corpse in net, as in he's not been able to stop much throughout the course of the season. It's been a rough go for him. 3.31 goals against average, 890 save percentage for Korpisalo here for the Ottawa Senators. And look, last game against the Islanders, he actually, held the fort, 3 goals allowed, got a victory. And he's actually won, believe it or not, each of his last 2 starts, Islanders and Penguins. This will be a totally different challenge, though, obviously, taking on the Boston Bruins here in this one. So it's just a game all around. I do have some props that I've got my eye on in this game, but there's not a whole lot I'm going to do with this game side-wise or totals-wise. And, Ian's going to be Ian Pass a little bit more down the stretch than he normally would be. I'm a high-volume bettor, but there's going to be spots where it's too much volatility both ways to go with either side, and that's kind of how I feel about this game. Kind of some volatility here with the Sens and the Bruins in this game, so it's probably going to be a game I end up leaving alone. And by the way, it's been a sneaky under series. 8-2 in the last 10 meetings have gone under. The Bruins have won 3-1, 2-1, and 3-2. In the last 3 meetings between these two teams. So kind of feels like Bruins win a 3-1, 3-2 type of game here. That's really kind of how I feel about this one. Korpisalo could explode and give up 5 or 6, but, I'm not so sure this is the spot where Boston's going to lay it on thick. They haven't always done that in recent performances as far as goal scoring. The Philadelphia game they had to because Philly kept coming. But they've also had these games where they parked the bus, like the Montreal game, 2-1. So all around it goes for me. I'm going to end up staying off it, other than some props, which I'll mention in a moment. Matt, what do you think here, Ottawa, Boston?
Yeah, this is one of those games that I sort of mentioned pre-show where, you've got one team that's really trying to gear up. I mean, they're in the President's Trophy race, not the President's Cup, as I mentioned.
There you go. You're learning. You're learning,
TikTok,
Matt. Yeah.
When I was reading the PGA tweet while I was trying to, do 2 things at once. But no, they're in that hunt for the President's Trophy, which, I wouldn't want if I was a fan of the team. But, Boston loves to get it and then, get swept in the first round. No, I'm just kidding. But no, all seriousness, it's a team that's really gearing up for the playoffs and a team that's looked so out of funk. The sides get really aggressively high. Boston at home, I feel they win this game, but not going to take them at minus 225. The only thing I'd really look at here, I mean, I don't hate the total at 6. If Ottawa chips in a goal or two, I could definitely see that happening. But I may look at Boston's team total over 3.5 as a potential look for this game. But, again, these games, I almost love the games with 2 non-playoff teams because then I feel really confident in the overs and the first period overs. But these games, Boston wants to start getting ready for the playoffs and tighten things up. So if anything, I think I'll take Boston team total over here. But this may be another game that I don't really dive into too deep.
I'm not at all a big parlay person, but this time of year, when we're talking the last few weeks of the regular season, I open the door more than I normally would to parlays. And because in a game like this, if I'm looking at the Bruins money line or regulation or puck line, I'd be scared shitless about a 3-2 overtime win for the Boston Bruins. I really would, because Ottawa, we saw it against the Islanders. Ottawa on any given night can play tough and play up to competition. So, but I do think the Bruins win this game. So to me, the Bruins might be a parlay piece. That way, if they win, and it doesn't matter, regulation, overtime, shootout, as long as they just get the W, your parlay piece is intact. And so if I'm betting Boston, I'd feel a little more comfortable as a parlay piece tonight than the reg line or the puck line or anything like that. What do you think here, Terry? Ottawa, Boston.
Yeah, well, parlays can be a very what's the word? A lot of people hate them. A lot of people love them. I am a parlay. That's how I started, was with parlays. So I do condone parlays, and that's what I have in this game. Pavel Zacha and David Pastrnak both over half a point, plus 115. Zacha has been great. 7 games in a row, he has a point. Really, I would parlay him with whatever you like. But sticking to the same game, when Zacha gets a point, usually so does Pastrnak. So plus 115 is a great price on that. And then Brady Tkachuk, his shot prop is 4.5 at plus money. He's got 5 or more in 5 of his last 6 games. I'm not pulling the trigger though, just because Boston, I could see them playing good defensively here, and I could see him maybe only getting 4 shots. So if he wanted to use his shot prop as a parlay piece and take 3 or 4, I think that's a good look. He's been shooting the puck a ton for the Senators, but no side for me either in this one.
Ian, I think you're muted.
On. There we go. We're back. Sorry about that, man. You know what? I think my what I use here on the laptop for the cursor is sticking. So we're gonna have to get that looked at, because it took me forever there to unmute the microphone there with that. But yeah, I like what you said with the point parlay. Makes a lot of sense as far as that goes. Definitely, and that's something we're going to be doing that a lot more. I'm going to be looking into doing that a lot more in the playoffs when we start to get some of these point streaks going, and you can put SGPs together and ride streaks like point streaks and assist streaks and goal streaks. Definitely there's going to be some opportunities for that, definitely. And we're way more of a, like, I'm going to be way more, like right now, probably my portfolio in the regular season is 80-20 split, 80% sides and totals, 20% props. It's going to be more toward probably 60-40, if not 50-50 when we get into the playoffs. We're really going to put more of our investment into the prop market because there's less games and the lines are tighter. You've got to look for other opportunities, definitely, when the playoffs roll around. So if you love props and you love player props, you're really going to love our playoff shows, because we're really going to end up diving into the props full force. And I agree with Zacha. He's been great. Geeky is worth a look. And I'm going to go with one for Boston, too. Jake DeBrusk. His dad, Louis, it's his birthday. Okay, it's Louis DeBrusk's birthday. Why not give your pops, your father, your dad, the gift of a goal tonight from his son against the Ottawa Senators? So Jake DeBrusk, maybe even Jake DeBrusk to go over 1.5 points. Sprinkle on that, maybe a multi-point night. Show off on Dad's birthday here for the Boston Bruins. Now I know Dad's going to be working back in Edmonton with Jack Michaels doing the Montreal Edmonton game on TV. So I don't know how much of the game he's going to get to see here, but definitely I still think with Jake knowing it's his dad's birthday, it's just a funny little intangible angle that I just thought of off the top of my head. Maybe Jake DeBrusk able to find the back of the net tonight for the Boston Bruins here in this matchup. All right, next up, we've got the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Philadelphia Flyers. These teams just played last week in Philadelphia as well, and now they're back playing each other again just days later in Philadelphia. Crazy how it works, but that's the way the schedule is here. Toronto minus 130, road favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. Huge headlines from the Flyers that John Tortorella has got the is running amok here with this team. He's cracking the whip, and he is healthy scratching several veterans tonight for the Philadelphia Flyers. Denis Gurianov, Cam Atkinson. And look, Cam Atkinson's been to war with Torts in two different places, Columbus and Philly. So he knows Torts well, and yet still a healthy scratch. And look, Cam Atkinson's had a tough year. He has. I mean, I can't really condemn Torts for it. But the one that's really got people on either side of the fence is Sean Couturier, the captain of the Philadelphia Flyers. I know he's not had a good offensive season. I get it. But he is the captain. He is good on faceoffs. I still think he's a plus defender. It's always been what he's been best at. His defensive side of the puck has been outstanding. Maybe it's taken a step back a little bit this year, but man, to go now to benching your captain, that could go one of two ways in the dressing room. Either it's a rallying point for the Flyers, or it's like, what the fuck's going on here? Our captain's a healthy scratch. He's being benched here right now. What the hell is going on? And it just turns into an even greater disaster for the Philadelphia Flyers. So it's going to be fascinating to see how that plays out for them here tonight against the Toronto Maple Leafs, a Philly team that's lost 2 games in a row. Not only the 6-2 loss to Toronto last week in this building, but then a 6-5 loss to Boston. And look, Couturier was in for both of those games. Defensively, they weren't good enough. They gave up 6 in both of them. Losses to the Leafs and Bruins, I get it, but my goodness, this is interesting, and I'm fascinated to see how the Flyers respond to it. One thing I want to point out about this game is with Philly's lineup tonight, it's a much younger lineup, than the forward group here tonight, if you look at it. And plus, on the back end, too, because Ristolainen's on IR, Nick Seeler's on IR, Jamie Drysdale's on IR. So after York and Sanheim and Zamula, you've got Ronnie Attard back up from the AHL, Adam Ginning, and then you got the veteran Eric Johnson. So there's youth on the blue line. It's a younger, probably a faster, though, forward group tonight. So John Tortorella going for a little bit more speed through the lineup because he knows, we got to start getting a little bit better at the offensive end. So after Tippett, Frost, and Konechny, you've got Farabee, Lawton, Brink. You've got Forster, Paling, Hathaway, and then all of a sudden, Ollie Leixel and Noah Cates draw in on the fourth line with Delorier in this matchup. I have no idea what we're going to get from Philly. I'd be lying if I said I knew how Philly was going to play tonight. It could be a rallying point, or it just could pull things even further apart for them for a team that's kind of scuffling right now. What I do know is they have had 0 success against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto has owned this series. Toronto's off a frustrating loss where they gave it up in the third period against Carolina on Saturday night, and they'll be looking to bounce back from that. So I could only look at the Leafs, but I'm going to pass on a side in this game, lean to Toronto. I'm going to grab a piece of the over bifecta here, over 1.5 over, because look, there's another thing where it's just been over with these two teams. And right now, until I see correction defensively from the Flyers, they're a team I'm looking at overs with right now. I know this is not the way Torts wants it to be. We know he wants this team to play 2-1, 3-1 hockey, commit to defense, commit to blocking shots, and all that. But all of a sudden, this great penalty kill is struggling. They've given up 6 power play goals, 6 in the last 4 games. This has been one of the better penalty kills in the NHL all season, not lately, though, for the Philadelphia Flyers. So that's trouble. Like I said, we've seen a history of overs with these two teams head-to-head to the tune of 5 straight that have gone over. In fact, 6-0-1 to the over in the last 7 meetings, and all 7 of those have had at least 7 goals. So it's over by Fecta. Here for me with the Leafs and the Flyers. It looks like it's going to be Ilya Samsonov and Sam Ersson in net. And I know Samsonov's playing well, but there is no Lyubushkin on the blue line tonight. Simone Benoit is going to draw back in for Toronto. I think Philly can chip in some offense here. Again, it's a little bit of a faster lineup that he's going with. It's like going with that small ball lineup in the NBA, that's kind of what this looks like to me with Philadelphia with these changes. A little small ball lineup, a little fast, a little more speed on all four lines. So this could be a quicker pace game than you think. So over by Fecta for me. I lean Toronto, but I want to see how Philly comes out in this game. What do you think here, Matt? Leafs, Flyers.
Yeah, so I like a couple plays here. I mean, obviously, given what's going on in Philly, you would expect them to come out hard, but I have been a part of situations like this where, veteran guys start getting scratched in the locker room.
And then the captain.
Yeah. Yeah, the cat, like, you want to rally around your coach in certain situations, like given when Torts got that suspension, like he's battling for you, you want to rally around your coach, but at the same time, I guarantee you every guy in the room is closer to Sean Couturier than Tortorella. So, I think it fires them up, but at the same time, I don't know. I think for the young guys that are getting a chance to play in the NHL, they'll be fired up, for the opportunity. But I think you'll see some veteran guys, not half-assed by any means, but I just don't think it will really light the fire that maybe Torts is hoping for. So I'm going to take a shot with Toronto here, given the price. They're obviously in better form, given the lineups, but I just, I like that price. I am also I'm gonna split it up with the Toronto team total over 3.5, which is plus 115. On the off chance it is like a 4-3, like a 5-4 type overtime game or something like that. I think that gives you a little safety net. And then I will definitely be on the first period over. I may wait and try and bet live at 6 for the actual game over, but I don't hate it at 6.5 either. But yeah, those will be my 3 big plays. Will be Toronto money line, Toronto team total, and that first period over, and then I may sprinkle a bit on the game over as well.
All right, good stuff there. I do like a lot of props too in this game. When you look at the Leafs and the Flyers, I like Morgan Frost on the top line. He's a Toronto kid. His father Andy was the PA voice of the Leafs for ages. What a voice he had. Q107 Psychedelic Sunday. I'd listen to that shit all the time, honestly. Good stuff. And Andy, Morgan's dad, I think I can see Morgan putting forth a good effort here. And he's got a big opportunity now. He gets that center spot on the top line with Couturier out. So it's a big opportunity for him. See if he can rise to the occasion. There's good value with him there in that spot tonight for goal, assist, point, anything you can find on Morgan Frost with Konechny and Tippett. It's definitely by far their best line on paper, no question. For Toronto, a lot of good options here. Bertuzzi, who's been hot. I still wouldn't shy away from Pontus Holmberg. He had a million chances on Saturday against Carolina, as long as he stays on the top line with Matthews. Bobby McMahon and Domi have value on the second line right now. Nyes and Robertson with Tavares, I think, are live as well. Robertson scored in his return to the lineup against Carolina the other night. So there's a lot of value on the Toronto side. Terry, what do you like here? Toronto, Philly.
Yeah, well, as I mentioned on Saturday, me and Flyers games don't go too well together when it comes to sides and totals. So Leafs have dominated the Flyers, 7 straight overs between these teams as well. And I really hate what Tortorella is doing tonight with Couturier. I'm on the hate side. I hate the move completely, but you have to look at what he's done with this Flyers team this season. I don't think any of us on this show right now had Flyers making the playoffs this year before the season started. I don't think anybody expected this Flyers team to play as well as they have this year. So Tortorella probably going to be one of the top candidates for coach of the year. I can't ultimately shit on him for this move because what he's done with the Flyers this year. But I don't like the move personally. Looking at the game though, player prop wise, you said it, Ian. Morgan Frost, 0.3 games in a row, plus 125. Plus 120 to get a point tonight. I think that's a great bet. The one I pulled the trigger on, Bobby McMahon, to get 3 shots on goal. He's done that in 7 of his last 8 games, 9 of his last 11, plus 125 to get 3 shots on goal. So I like him to get 3 shots tonight, and that's pretty much it in this game. I don't like betting sides when the Flyers are playing. I can never get them right for some reason.
Yeah, there's teams like that all the time in every sport. People are going to not have the greatest read on an individual team, and that can happen every now and then. I know it happens to me across various sports. You're just not always going to have the best read on a certain team. All right. Well, I've had a good read for Pittsburgh lately, totals wise. I mean, we've looked at this team, a dead nuts over team. Right now, the Pittsburgh Penguins, they're taking on the New Jersey Devils. New Jersey minus 115, home favorites, 6.5 the total. Very interesting that this line has moved about 20, 30 cents toward Pittsburgh. Okay, so there's been some sharp support here for the, maybe it's sharp. We'll see. None of my money's on the Pittsburgh Penguins right now, I can tell you that. But there's no way I'm laying a price with Jersey here either. Coming off a long road trip back home, a team that's just struggling to find any sort of consistency. And right now, believe it or not, Devils for the longest time, the problem earlier in the year was goaltending and defense. Right now, the problem is they can't score. Holy shit. They've got 2 goals or less in 4 of their last 5 games. Offensively, they've disappeared going into this matchup here. They're off that 4-game road trip that tells you the Malinsky special is in play, and that says to bet Pittsburgh here in this game tonight against New Jersey. I don't feel comfortable taking Pittsburgh at all. I still don't. I know they beat Detroit Sunday. They lost to the Rangers, and then, of course, before that, they beat San Jose. They're still not a team I'm excited to back, although, they're still not completely out of the race. I don't think they're getting into the playoffs, but, they're not totally out of it yet either. We actually have seen at least a decent effort from them the last few games. They beat San Jose, they beat Detroit, and in the loss against the Rangers, because before that, the Ottawa loss, Edmonton, all those losses for Pittsburgh, they look pathetic. They look mentally checked out on the season. At least the last 3 games, we've seen a pulse again from the Penguins. The win against San Jose, the win against Detroit. It was a hard-fought effort. It was good effort from them. I know they were bad defensively against the Rangers, but the effort was there, even in that loss against the Rangers, giving up 7 goals. I'm just going to stick to over trifecta here. Not bifecta. This is trifecta here for me. Both teams to score first period, over 1.5 first period, over 6.5 full game. It's the exact same 3 bets we swept with on Sunday against Detroit. We were on the over trifecta, and all 3 of them hit. Now, the caution with this is New Jersey's trending under, and they're not scoring right now. But this is a perfect elixir. Pittsburgh is not a team that I trust to shut down anybody, quite honestly. Even a New Jersey team that's struggling right now offensively to put the puck in the net. So I think this is a spot for the Devils back home to get their offense going. My biggest fear about the over trifecta here is Jake Allen, who's going to be in net, and he's been very good these last couple of starts with New Jersey. He's played very well for the New Jersey Devils. Way better than he has earlier in the season, where he wasn't good at all in Montreal this season. He gets to New Jersey, he's actually played pretty solid. He had a bad first period against Dallas, and then he played well after that against the Stars. And then you look at the last couple of starts after that, he played well again. The Vegas game, he's the reason New Jersey was even in that game, for as long as they were. So that's the concern, that Jake Allen stands on his head and blows up this over trifecta, but it's a chance I'm willing to take because I think Pittsburgh is just a dead nuts over team, and I want to be betting overs with Pittsburgh in every game moving forward. They're all offense, no defense, and leaky goaltending right now. That's how I see Pittsburgh. Their offense is actually pretty good right now. As much as I don't love their D and their goaltending, Pittsburgh scored 16 goals in the last 3 games combined, all 3 going over the total. The offense is starting to click a little bit for the Penguins. So, yeah, over trifecta here for me. Matt, what do you think here? Penguins, Devils.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be on the over bifecta. I just, again, these 2 teams are very inconsistent for me, so I want to, save myself in case it's a 2-0 game. But I could easily see it being like 2-1, even 3-2 after the first, like the Seattle Buffalo game yesterday. I think goals will come in bunches tonight, so I like the over 6.5. I think the one play, because as you mentioned, Jake Allen has looked pretty good at times, in his New Jersey Devils career the last couple of weeks. I think what I may do is I might sprinkle on the New Jersey team total over 3.5. I'm seeing it at plus 120, somewhere in that range. Just in case, it's a 4-1 type game, then I at least, balance myself out from the game over if Jake Allen decides to play well. But I do think both teams should score some goals in this game, and I don't trust either defense, and neither team is really playing for anything at this point. So yeah, that'll be all I'm on in this one. probably won't watch the game, but I'll just be updating the box score.
Yeah, it's actually a very important game and a very important 2 points for both teams who are clinging to life in the playoff race. I don't think either one's getting in, but they're going to keep convincing themselves they have a chance until they're actually out. What do you think here, Terry? Pittsburgh, New Jersey.
Yeah, well, I think one of the main reasons why we saw the line movement, Jack Hughes missed morning skate. He is going to play tonight,
Yep.
so he will play.
He's good.
But I think people might be a little bit worried about what's going on with him because he hasn't looked himself. He hasn't been shooting the puck. That's what he does best, is shoot the puck. So Jack Hughes hasn't looked right. This Devils team hasn't looked right on the first game home after their West Coast trip. But I can't back Pittsburgh either. They're just not a team.
Spot
looking to put
screams
my money on.
Pittsburgh. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I won't do it. Yeah.
The Devils have won 6 in a row between the teams,
Yeah.
but this is just not a good spot for the Devils either. Ultimately, this is a pass. Lars Eller has an assist in 3 games in a row, so maybe you could take a look at him. Nico Hischier has been consistent as much as he can for the Devils, but this game is just one I'm going to stay off of.
Nothing wrong with that. I do want to mention prop-wise in this game, he got robbed. Well, he didn't get robbed of a goal. It was a good call. It was definitely offside. Dawson Mercer could have scored against Vegas early in that game on Sunday afternoon. I still think he's worth a look. Alex Holtz is up to the second line. There's some value there, in my opinion. Holtz with Hughes and Howla. A little bit of a lineup shake-up here, forward shake-up here for Travis Green tonight. For Pittsburgh, Bunting, has been good of late. Valtteri Puustinen all of a sudden has stepped up and scored a bit for Pittsburgh as well. So there's a couple looks that you might be interested in as well. Drew O'Connor's got points in 3 straight games playing with Crosby now and Rust. So maybe a little value on Drew O'Connor right now for the Pittsburgh Penguins as well. So those would be some of the props I'm looking at here from a value perspective. All right. Carolina Hurricanes, New York Rangers. We've got Carolina minus 160 road favorites. The total in this game currently at 6, shaded to the under. So I've now watched Carolina closely for these last couple games, the couple of games that they've played since Kuznetsov arrived in the trade from Washington and Jake Gensel arrived in the trade from Pittsburgh. And what I see from this team, and I know I put the tweet out there, the post, I just feel like they're a better and deeper offensive team right now, the Carolina Hurricanes, with these changes. And maybe because all season long, they're kind of plodding on offense. If Aho doesn't score, if Svechnikov doesn't score, if Natchez and Jarvis don't score, where are the goals going to come from? Now, all of a sudden, you've got a Kuznetsov who looks like he's got new life in Carolina. He looks happy again, and he's actually played very well. You've got Gensel now, who is such a difference maker offensively. And suddenly, if the big guns like Aho and Svechnikov are blanked on a certain night, there's other guys that can step up and bite you if you're the opponent offensively. And the point that I'm trying to make is, I think right now with the Hurricanes, there might be some residual value with their games going over the total in the short term because of the fact that, the betting markets and the odds makers are still pricing Carolina's totals kind of like, all season where they've been a 3-1, 3-2 type of hockey team. I think Carolina's got not just a little bit, potentially a lot more potency and offensive depth now since the changes that they've made. We've seen the last 3 games during this win streak where they've scored 4 goals or more. In fact, you go back to the Montreal game, March 7th, during this 6-1 run, we've seen the Hurricanes in all 6 victories score a minimum of 4 goals. So this has definitely been a better offensive team. There's no doubt. Absolutely, you're a better offensive team when you added Jake Gensel, who is also Mr. Clutch in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So I think Carolina can score some goals here tonight as well, which is something they've been able to do against the Islanders. The last 3 meetings, they have scored 4, 4, and 4 in all 3 meetings between these two teams. The last 3 meetings have all gone over the total, and they were all this season, 4-3, 5-4, 5-4 final scores. And those 3 meetings, Carolina and the Islanders, that all went over the total earlier this season before Carolina upgraded their offense at the trade deadline. So I like actually a little sneaky over trifecta here in this spot. Over 1.5, both teams to score first period, and over 6. I like the first period over and the full game over a little bit more than both teams, because I could see this being one of those, Carolina 2-0, first periods, which they're capable of. And another reason why I think it's a sneaky over, it's not just series history. It's not just Carolina's improved offense, 2 straight overs for the Canes, 2 straight overs for the Islanders in their last 2 games, 3 straight overs in the head-to-head series history. But it's also the fact that the Islanders defensively are just not in a good way right now. Ottawa, they blew a lead against a weak Senators team and lost in overtime 4-3. They've allowed 3 goals or more in 4 straight games during this 4-game losing streak, given up 16 goals in their last 4 games combined. So I like this to be an over trifecta. And who would have told me before the season Hurricanes Islanders were betting the over trifecta, I would have said, well, hold on now. That doesn't sound like something I'd be wanting to do with these 2 teams. Now it is, though. Now it is. So over trifecta, and give me the draw here. We've seen 2 of the 3 games go past regulation this season. I think, again, Islanders back in the mix here. I think we got a chance for some overtime here. I do think they'll play a good game. I think they'll play Carolina tough. And I do think we've got a chance for some overtime here tonight. 2 of the 3 meetings have gone past regulation this season with the 2 teams head-to-head. Matt, what do you think here? Hurricanes, Islanders.
Yeah, I'm on the over bifecta here, 100%. And I definitely lean way Carolina. So I'm going to split it up and do the Carolina team total, which is around plus 110, plus 115. And then also going to take Carolina in regulation here. So I'm going against you a little bit on the draw. But to me, I just think, as you mentioned, I think Carolina was one of the, best teams in the league in the East prior to the trade acquisitions, and they just got deeper. I mean, the fact that they're able to play Nason on the 4th line, and, they've got 4 lines that can, put the puck in the net at different times. So, and then those top 2 lines to me are very scary. So I like any of those props with those players as well. You can do like a prop parlay if you want and things like that. But yeah, I think Carolina has no problem getting 4 goals in this game. So I'm going to be on the first period of game over, the Carolina team total over, and then Carolina in regulation. It's plus money. So I'm definitely going to take that.
All right, there we go. Like in Carolina in regulation in this one. Ilya Sorokin in net for the Islanders, confirmed. Although, again, he didn't have a great game the other night against the Rangers or Sunday afternoon against the Rangers. Teravainen, we know, has been out, although there's a potential he comes back tonight. It's game time decision, so maybe he does return. But, there are some good props in this game. I'll mention those in a moment. Speaking of the other, and someone in the chat mentions him, the other Sebastian Aho, the one on the New York Islanders. If I was a beat reporter and I was covering this game, I'd be so tempted to just, even if he wasn't scheduled for media availability, I'd make a point of it to interview this guy. And I say, look, you're the Sebastian Aho, man. Nobody gives 2 shits about. Nobody pays any attention to you. Does that piss you off? Does that make you really want to play your best and play a hell of a game tonight against the Sebastian Aho, the only one that everybody talks about on the other side? That's got to bother you a little bit. I'm Sebastian Aho. Nobody gives 2 fucks about me. Unfortunately, right now. I mean, I'd honestly phrase it like that and ask him, nobody is just paying any attention to you. This Sebastian Aho, the Islander Sebastian Aho, the defenseman, and everybody puts all their attention and all their adulation and focus on the Carolina Sebastian Aho. That'd be something where, you give me the opportunity to do something in life, give me a press pass, get me to this game in the dressing room, and get me a chance to interview the Islander Sebastian Aho and ask him those questions. I'd be fascinated to hear what he has to say. What do you think here, Terry? We're interested in what you have to say about this game, Hurricanes Islanders.
I love this game. But as you were just talking there, I went on to NHL Reference, and Sebastian Aho has scored against the Hurricanes. He's played 9 games against the Hurricanes, and he has 1 goal.
Yeah.
So is Ian predicting something tonight? I don't know what his price would be for a goal scorer.
I'll show that other Sebastian Aho who the real king of the Aho king in the NHL is. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Over 6 for me. I'm not a first period better. I don't bet first periods. It's just too much for me. But I would bet the over in the first period between these 2 teams. As you said, Ian, the last 3 meetings all went over 6.5 this year. This Hurricanes offense is just dangerous. it looks dangerous. If they can carry this into the playoffs, then people might be sleeping on this Hurricanes team a bit. Islanders have lost 4 in a row. Washington just passed them. Detroit's still ahead of them. Islanders desperately need to play well in this game. I do not like Matthew Barzal getting put on the second line and putting Palmieri on the first line. Again, I'm not the coach, so maybe Patrick Waugh sees something. But Matthew Barzal has been one of your most consistent players all season long. And moving him to the second line just doesn't make much sense to me. I don't like that move, but he's the coach. Islanders have won 4 of the last 7 between these teams, 3 of the 4 going to overtime. So we've seen a lot of close games. I'm on the over 6 here, plus 100. And then Seth Jarvis, anytime goal. A goal in 4 of his last 5 games. It was plus 300 this morning when I got it. And I was all excited to give it out as a bargain bin, but the best price for it is plus 270 now. I would still take it at that. He is on the top line, but as Ian says, let Teravainen have another game off. Don't bring him back here because then Jarvis is going to get moved off the first line. I don't want that. So hopefully he's still on the first line. Definitely check before game time, but a goal in 4 of his last 5 games, plus 270 now. That's just an excellent price. Martin Necas, always a good look for shots on goal. He's got at least 3 in 12 of his last 13 games. So he's super consistent. Gensel, you could look at Gensel on the top line now. Svechnikov on the second line. They just have a lot of firepower. So love the over and love Seth Jarvis to score, plus 370.
All right, there we go. Seth Jarvis, plus I like the Seth Jarvis prop, no doubt. Seth Jarvis has to be on your board of player prop bets tonight, 100% with that goal prop. He's been great. He's on the top line with Gensel, Aho, Svechnikov, Kuznetsov, and Necas. Even Kuznetsov worth a look. Like I say, he looks like a man with new life there now in Kakalaki. Marty Necas, always a threat. For the Islanders, look, Kyle Palmieri's playing well. He's actually been good offensively lately. I get from that standpoint why he might be on the top line with Horvat and Nelson. My problem is not so much Barzal being demoted to the second line. It's who the fuck Patrick Waugh's put him with. Like, he's a facilitator. He's got 49 assists on the season, Barzal, compared to 20 goals. So he's a facilitator. He's a playmaker. Your playmaking options on that line are Anders Lee, who's having a dismal season goal-scoring wise compared to what he's done in the past, and Pajot, who's, more of a meat and potatoes, two-way player, not exactly a supreme finisher. I don't know if you're putting Barzal in the best position for success doing this with Pajot and a struggling Anders Lee as his line mates. That's the issue. It's more so who the hell he's playing with, not just that he's down on the second line right now for the New York Islanders. So, like I say, a head scratcher, but Patrick Waugh, this is, he's still relatively new on the job here with the Islanders. He's trying to shake things up. The team is faltering at the worst time of year. They need the points. They've lost 4 in a row. He's trying to do something to get it going. I just don't know if this particular change will work. We'll have to wait and see. Colorado, St. Louis. We've got Colorado minus 210 road favorites, 6.5 being the total here in this game. You've got the Avalanche, obviously, on this road trip, which started in Calgary, Vancouver, and Edmonton. They swept all 3 games, 6-2, 4-3, 3-2 were the final scores in those games. Pretty impressive stuff. No doubt about that. They've now won 6 straight games. It's been a nice stretch of games, no doubt about that for the Avalanche. This is the 4th and final game of this road trip after the 3 straight victories. Meanwhile, you've got St. Louis. Here they are. They've won 4 in a row. They're still not totally out of it as far as playoff contention is concerned, without a doubt. You look at their position in the standings right now, 75 points right now in the standings, 7 behind Nashville, 4 behind Vegas. So you look at this St. Louis team, they're still very much alive and playing like it. Here's the thing. This spot, I just look at the way this sets up from a scheduling perspective for Colorado. I think they could get tripped up here. They've already had a great road trip. They're coming off one of the games of the year against the Edmonton Oilers on Saturday night. It was a phenomenal game. They pulled it out in overtime, winning on the dying seconds. I think we might have a live home underdog here. I'm going to sprinkle on the draw and the Blues in this spot at plus 180. I think it's worth a shot here And I know with Minnesota battling with St. Louis, Terry's not going to love hearing that, but I think it's a dubious spot for Colorado. And if you actually look here at this series history this year, I mean, the Blues have been a thorn in the Avs side. They went to Denver and destroyed Colorado in November, 8-2. And then the game in St. Louis, it was 2-1 Colorado. It's not like they ran away with it in that game. The Blues have played them pretty tough. So I think I'm going to sprinkle here St. Louis in the draw. I just think it's a very, very worrisome spot here. It's already been a nice road trip, great road trip, winning road trip, 3-1, even if they lose tonight. And the Blues need the points, and I like the way the Blues are playing, and they've shown they can beat some solid teams as well of late, like the Bruins, for instance, like the Kings 3-1, who are battling for points, and they beat them. So we've got, I think, potential here for what many people will look at as a shocking upset. I don't know if it'll be shocking, especially with Justus Onanen confirmed in net here for Colorado. I've still got my doubts about that guy, and I know he's played a little bit better lately, no doubt. Calgary game he won. He's won 3 straight starts, but Chicago twice, Calgary. Let's see at the end of a road trip how it goes here. I think it's a little bit of a dubious spot here for the Avalanche in this one. Again, it's not easy to try to take a shot against a team like this, Colorado, and how good they've been playing, but this is a spot play for me. And it's just too high price on the road for a goalie that I've got my concerns about in Justus Onanen. So going to go with a little dog and draw split, little team total over on the Blues perhaps as well. Yeah, we'll see how it goes here tonight in this one. What do you think here, Matt? Colorado, St. Louis.
Yeah, so I honestly agree with you that this could be, a game that Colorado takes the night off. I know they're coming off 2 days of rest, but, it's already been such a successful road trip. They haven't played well on the road, in the
Think about the last 2 wins,
Matt.
And sorry to cut you up. 2 more wins here. These last 2 wins, they came back from the dead against Vancouver, down 3-0. Vancouver gave them a lifeline with that late goal they allowed in the second period. Colorado came all the way back, won that game in overtime, and then you beat Edmonton and with a thrilling, scintillating game. You're off 2 barn burners in a row, coming back to beat Vancouver. Beating Edmonton in overtime. If you're ever going to lay a stinker and an egg in a clunker, it's tonight.
Yeah, and so for that reason, I am going to take the first period over because that's been hot with the Avs throughout the season, and I think both teams, might bring it early. But what I'm going to do, and I'm not going big on this play or anything because I don't feel too confident by any means, but, the numbers are too nice, so I'm going to split it up, and I'm going to take Blues money line at plus 180. And then I'm also going to sprinkle on the Blues in regulation, which is almost bargain bin worthy at plus 270.
You think I'm crazy?
Again,
people in the chat here talking about, hey, how can you take the Blues? Yeah, Matt's going with regulation for crying out loud.
Well, because to me, I think if this game gets to overtime, it's the Avs are going to win this game. So it's like, why not throw a little shot? If the Blues are going to win this game, to me, I think it has to happen in regulation. So I'm going to put a little on both, but yeah, and then I'll be on the first period over as well. I've been riding that a lot with the Avs throughout the season, so that'll be kind of my mutual play. And then, it pains me to cheer for the Blues. I haven't disliked them as much the last few years. They haven't been really in the mix. But obviously, I still remember that Game 7 triple overtime against Dallas, where Jamie Benn, put the wraparound through the crease, and then the Blues end up winning and going on to win the Cup. So yeah, it's hard for me to take the Blues, but I'm not a big Avs fan either by any means. So I just think at that price plus 270 for them to win in regulation, if Colorado lays an egg, it's pretty good payout. So that's what I'll be on.
And as far as props, Big Val for Colorado, Lehkonen for Colorado. Won't you be my neighbor? We're going back to Jake Neighbors tonight. He's heating up again. We're going back to Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, Jake Neighbors. And he's been starting to heat up again for the Blues. So that's my favorite prop on their side tonight. Terry, what do you think here? Avs, Blues.
Yeah, a battle between 2 teams that I cannot stand whatsoever, as you said earlier, Ian. But when it comes to the Wild's playoff chances, I'm not worried about the Blues. Yeah, they're winning some games right now, but they're not one of the teams I'm worried about. But they are playing well. They've won 4 games in a row here. As you said, not the best spot for Colorado. Colorado has won 5 of the last 6 between the teams, so they have had success against the Blues in the last couple of years. But this Blues team, I've been told, is a very good home dog. So I don't have the numbers here, but I've been told a lot by Nicholas Earl over the season that the Blues are a great home dog team. So I can see why someone would want to take the Blues, a plus 180 here. I'm not going to pull a trigger on the side because I don't think the Blues win this game. I do think Colorado gets the job done, but I'm not comfortable with Colorado puck line or in regulation. But I do like 2 props. Nathan MacKinnon anytime goal. I got it for plus 100. It's up to minus 130 in other spots, so you really got to shop around. I got it for plus 100. MacKinnon has a goal in 7 of his last 9 games. Did not score in the game against Edmonton. Would have cashed my bargain bin parlay had he did, but had a ton of shots on goal. I like him to score here. And then, as you said, Valerie Nichushkin, goals in 5 of his last 7. I like him to score here as well tonight in this one.
Good stuff there. San Jose, Nashville. We've got the Predators minus 460. Man, it's been a while since we've seen Nashville favored like this, but they're one of the hottest teams in the NHL right now. Minus 460 home favorites, 6 the total in this game. For Nashville, this is Malinsky special, man, against them. So, but I'm not taking San Jose. That angle be damned. 4-game road trip coming back home for Nashville, but I've stubbed my toe taking a chance with San Jose in certain spots. Pittsburgh, especially that game where they lost 6-3. They've now lost 4 in a row. They're back to giving up goals in bunches again. I definitely want some piece of overs in my pocket here for this game. Probably over bifecta makes sense to me. I could see Nashville playing a little sloppy and lax defensively. You know, it's a lesser team. You're coming off the road trip out west. You know, I could see Nashville not having their best defensive effort tonight in front of UC Saros in this game. And if you look at San Jose, they have managed to score at least 2 goals in 10 straight games. And I find if they get 2 goals here, this game is probably going to go over the total, or at least push the 6, worst case scenario, because I don't see Nashville being held below 4 goals. Talked about how well Nashville has scored offensively during the win streak, or the great run that they put together, where they've collected a point. What's the point streak now at? 15 games, 16 games? Like, it's incredible now how long this point streak has been. And the majority of these games, they have scored at least 4 points. So I do like over bifecta, over 1.5, over 6. Really, really like that. I'm going to have a small bet on the team total over for Nashville, over 3.5. I'm keeping it small because it's minus 160. It's a pretty big price, but I don't see how they get held below 4 here with Magnus Corona. Magnus Corona. When you going to give me a save, Corona? Hopefully he doesn't give us many saves tonight here in this game. And again, he's just not ready for the NHL. He had that one good game against Ottawa. You could say against Dallas, his first start, he did all right, but 7 to the Islanders, 3 to Philly, 5 to Pittsburgh, 3 to Columbus. He's still not NHL material in net for the San Jose Sharks. So over bifecta and a piece of the Preds team total over for me as well. Matt, what do you think here? Sharks, Preds?
Yeah, this is probably a pass game for me. If anything, I would throw a couple bucks on the Sharks just at that massive price, but I'll probably just pass on this game. This is one of those, team that's so far out of it. Every Sharks fan I know is just pissed when they win right now because they're trying to finish last. And then you've got Nashville that's still, battling to be in the mix and playing really well as of late. So despite coming off the road trip, I'm obviously not going to lay minus 460 on Nashville. But yeah, probably just an overall pass for me. I could see this being like a 4-1 Nashville win. So I don't even like the total here. I don't know if it'll be a slow start. So definitely won't be betting on it. And it will not even consider entering one of the corners of my TV at any point tonight either. So yeah, hopefully fans of those 2 teams enjoy the game, but I will not be watching. So yeah, nothing here for me.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. If this was a team other than San Jose, I'd be tempted by San Jose in the first period money line, kind of like what we saw with Anaheim the other night against St. Louis, where they did cash the first period money line, but I can't do it with San Jose or with Corona in net, especially in Nashville's popping in the goals left and right. But that being said, I think San Jose can get 2 and maybe even 3. And if they do, it's going to go over because I don't see them, like I say, holding Nashville below 4 goals. O'Reilly, Forsberg, Nyquist, Yossi's shooting the puck a ton, and he's collecting points left and right. So, Roman Yossi's just been outstanding once again, especially of late for the Predators. What do you think here, Terry, San Jose, Nashville?
Yeah, this is a very interesting game. So we've got complete opposites. San Jose's lost 13 of their last 14 games. Um, Looking for a first overall. Nashville 12-0-2 in their last 14. So just winning every game basically they play. Pass history extremely one-sided. Nashville 11-0-1 in the last 12 games between these teams, covering the puck line in 9 of the 11 games. When these two teams face each other, Nashville just beats the shit out of the Sharks. And this is the worst Sharks team we've seen in so long. This Nashville team is so hot. But the only way I would be able to take them would be on the alternative puck line -2.5, which I'm not going to do because this could be a potential spot where they don't need to win this game by 3 goals. They just need to win this game. I do have a play though. Tommy Novak plays on the third line for the Predators. I've been betting him a lot this season to get a point. +100 to get a point tonight against this Sharks team. He's got one in 4 of his last 5 games and 15 of his last 19. So obviously the Preds have their big guns, but Tommy Novak, who I believe is still on the first power play and is on the third line, still finds ways to get points. So +100 for him to get a point against this Sharks team. I do like it. And he's actually on the second power play now, but that doesn't bother me. Mark Jankowski has been on fire playing with Tommy Novak, Luke Evangelista. So that line is just a really, really good third line to have. So Tommy Novak over half a point, +100 in this one.
Good stuff. All right, Montreal, Edmonton. We've got Edmonton -400 home favorite, 6.5 the total. Another mammoth favorite here. I did not like what I saw to Montreal the other night. First game with Marty St. Louis with the hiatus from the team, and didn't love what I saw at all. Defensively, they had some issues, and they fell 5-2 to the Calgary Flames. 2 losses in a row now for Montreal. We'll see how they fare here in this game. We have seen this team give Edmonton, tough games, and I remember a couple of years ago in March they won in Edmonton 5-2. And in fact, if you look at the games in Edmonton, Montreal's beaten them there 2 of the last 3 times they visited Edmonton. I don't know if this is the spot for that. 7-3 to the over. We have seen a lot of goals between these two teams. And if you look at that Colorado-Edmonton game, while that game finished, low scoring and it was a tight game, and it ended, of course, 3-2 in overtime for Colorado. If not for the goaltending of Stuart Skinner and Georgiev, that could have been 6-5 or 7-6 in that game. I think because they're off a loss, Edmonton, you won't see them take Montreal lightly. They play Buffalo after this, and they've been off now for a couple of days, so it's a chance to, kind of get back on track here a little bit if you're the Edmonton Oilers. There are 3 bets I'm on here. I'm on over bifecta again in this game. We've seen over series history for these two teams get together. There's goals. So we'll go in on that. But what I like here especially is when Edmonton wins, and I think they're going to win tonight, bounce back after the Colorado loss, they often win by scoring 4 goals, so I think that's the way to approach it. Now you've got to go over 4 in this game with the team total on Edmonton. You'll get that around even money +100 because 3.5 is just way too heavily priced. So that's the way I will approach it here. Edmonton team total over 4, even money, and a little bit on the over bifecta here. What do you think, Matt? Montreal, Edmonton.
Yeah, this is another one of those tough ones. I obviously lean way Edmonton, especially given how they lost the other night. I think you could convince me to take the team total for Edmonton at 4. I think they have no problem scoring 4 or even more in this game. What I was kind of looking at, though, I might take Edmonton puck line first period. You're getting almost even money on it. They're coming off a loss. They're at home. They're a much better team. So I may jump on that. And then I'm also considering looking at The total goals in the first period at 2, just to bump that price up a little bit to like a plus 125, plus 130. I think, if Montreal does score in this first period, then there will be at least 3 goals in this first period. So those are the 2 plays I'm going to ride here. Again, I'm not going to lay 400 on Edmonton. Even on the puck line, they're like minus 140, minus 150. So, that doesn't really entice me. So maybe the Edmonton team total at 4 for a sprinkle, but then the 2 big plays for me will be Edmonton first period puck line, and then the over at 2 for that first period pregame.
And Calvin Pickard, who's in net for Edmonton tonight, he's been good. Like we gotta to talk about him like he's a capable goalie right now, and he's been that way for Edmonton. 9-4-1, 2.27 goals against average, 919 save percentage. So pretty good numbers for Pickard. He's in net for Edmonton tonight. Sam Montembeault for Montreal. Terry, what do you think here? Habs Oilers.
Yeah, this one, like you guys have already broke it down perfectly. This is not one that I can get involved in. The only play I would be looking at would be Slavkovsky to get a point. He's done that 4 games in a row. Minus 110, I'm seeing it at, so I'd prefer to get plus money. But if Montreal is going to do something here, it's going to be that top line, Caulfield, Suzuki, and Slavkovsky. Past history says over, but Montreal's gone under 5.5 in 4 of their last 5 games,
Yep.
and Edmonton's gone under 5.5 in 3 of their last 4. So that scares me off the over.
Yep.
So this game is just a pass, but I think Slavkovsky point isn't a horrible bet in this one.
Yep, Slavkovsky, Josh Wan, Newhook are the 3 I'd look at for props for Montreal. For Edmonton, yeah, Warren Fogle, I agree. Scored the last game, worth a look, great value. Playing with Draisaitl and McLeod. Hyman's never a bad bet with how red-hot Zach Hyman's been either. Those are the ones I'd really focus on for Edmonton here. All right, Buffalo, Vancouver. It's a back-to-back on the road for the Sabres after a big win against Seattle last night. They take on the Vancouver Canucks. Vancouver minus 200, home favorites, 6 the total here in this game between the Sabres and Canucks. Vancouver, they continue to battle some adversity here, battle a little funk. They're just not looking totally like their old selves here the last few games. Now, they did win 4 in a row. They had a great road trip. It was a focus to get back on track. They swept it at Anaheim, LA, Vegas, come back home. They pummel Winnipeg 5-0, but then they dropped the 4-3 loss in overtime to Colorado and kind of looked like they had trouble flipping that switch and getting it back again against Washington, losing 2-1 to the Capitals. Now, there's a big scheduling advantage here for Vancouver. There's no question. They've had 2 days off. It's a back-to-back on the road here for the Buffalo Sabres. That being said, this price, given Vancouver's kind of erratic behavior and form lately, is not one I'm interested in with Vancouver. I gave them a shot with Washington the other night with team total and first period puck line. Now, I did cash the first period puck line, but I don't love the form of what I've seen from them. And they're talking about stuff. Tockett's talking about it. The players are like, we need to flip the switch mentally and emotionally, take it to another level. I'd like to see them take it to another level before I'm ready to lay minus 200 with them going into this game. Now, it will be Devin Levi. This is the start that he will make, returning to the Sabres, getting the nod in net. Casey DeSmith, of course, will be in net once again for Vancouver with Thatcher Demko still sidelined. I'm going to sprinkle on the Sabres, believe it or not, even on the back-to-back here, plus 170, just a little bit. I like the mojo around this team. I like the mojo around them right now than a bit of a tight Vancouver bunch of late. You look at the series history between these two teams in Vancouver, the last 2 meetings, guess what the scores were? 3-2 Buffalo in overtime, 5-1 Buffalo last year in Vancouver. So we've seen the Sabres go to Vancouver and beat the Canucks twice in each of their last 2 visits here. So I'm going to do a small dog and draw split here in this game. Right now, Vancouver's being priced like their full season numbers. You look at all their metrics, expected goals share, expected goals for and against, and what they've been doing lately. And look, even on the road trip, they beat LA up and down. Anaheim stinks. Vegas was struggling at the time. All of a sudden, some of their wins don't look all that impressive given the state of the competition when they played that team. So I'm going to look a little bit here at the Buffalo side. Levi's the X factor. He was not great, in his first tour of duty with the team early in the season, but he was very good in the AHL. The team might want to rally around him now that he's back, making his first start back with the big club. So I'm going to take a small Sabres and draw shot. Not best bet, obviously, like the Sabres were for me last night, but I'm going to take a shot here. Again, I think Vancouver's got still some issues, and they got time to iron them out. They've still got a great record. They're going to cruise to win in that division and all that. But, right now, I don't think you're going to make money betting on the Vancouver Canucks between now and the end of the regular season because of what the prices are. And it seems like their best hockey was earlier in the season. It's not exactly what we're seeing right now, especially without Demko. That's a factor as well. What do you think here, Matt? Buffalo, Vancouver.
Yeah, I'm sort of in the same boat, but I'm going to play it a little bit differently. I'm definitely not laying money on Vancouver, even at home with that price, especially with no Thatcher Demko. So what I may do is I may play the Buffalo Sabres team total over 2.5. It's like minus 110, minus 115,
that might be
something
decent.
around there.
Yep.
Yeah. So then on the off chance it's 3-3 goes to overtime and Vancouver pulls it away, you still get your money. So I may do a split where I throw a little bit on the Sabres money line. But yeah, I mean, it's not a game I feel confident really either way. It's more of a value play at that point. Throw a couple bucks on plus 170. If Buffalo plays like they did yesterday, we might be in a good spot. So the nice piece with the back-to-back is those Vancouver-Seattle games. I mean, it's like a 45-minute ferry across or, a 10-minute plane ride. So that doesn't really factor in for me as far as like travel on a back-to-back. It's sort of like those New York, New Jersey type back-to-backs. So yeah, I'll be on Buffalo's team total over, and then I might sprinkle a little bit on the money line, just on the off chance they win. But yeah, not too much for me on this one.
Yeah, with the bigger dogs, like with Montreal, for instance, against Calgary the other night, I had Montreal money line, but I also had the team total. Now the team total didn't win, but still, even when they were down 5-2 in that game, the team total still had a shot. So in a game like this, let's say Vancouver or Buffalo's down 4-2. It's looking not likely they'll win the game with your money line bet, but they could still hit the team total if they get you one more goal. And that's why with the big dogs in particular, it's nice to split it up between money line and the team total over in a lot of instances. At least it gives yourself a chance for a 1-1 instead of, just losing the money line bet where you have a chance, even if the team loses, you could still go over 2.5 goals still and get at least split with those bets. What do you think here, Terry? Buffalo, Vancouver?
Well, I'm wondering if the Sabres do put Levi in because I don't see Levi confirmed. I don't know if you did see him confirmed.
Not confirmed yet, but projected. Do they run UPL back to back? That's still a possibility as well. Yep.
Well, we saw last year with the Sabres when Levi came up, he was playing really well. So they just started him. And I'm just sitting here looking at the Sabres trying to make the playoffs, UPL playing so well. I'm wondering if they do go back to him here tonight. But this game is just one of the ones I have to stay off of. Only thing I could look at would be Quinn Hughes' point as a parlay piece, which he's done in 5 of his last 6 games. Tage Thompson also is a 0.4 of his last 5, so he is playing pretty well for the Sabres. But this game, my gut says this game is going to finish 2-1, and I don't really want to jump on the under with Casey DeSmith.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want under.
This
I don't
game
want
is
over.
just a pass.
Yep. I don't want under. I don't want over. I want Zach Benson again, even though he didn't score last night. I still think there's great value. We'll go back to Zach Benson there for Buffalo. Byram's had a couple of quiet games. I still think, take a small little shot with him for props. I think there's value on Mikheyev, Suter, and Höglander for Vancouver. If those 3 players are up the lineup, not priced like it. And as far as urgency goes, this is a way more important 2 points on the line for Buffalo, obviously, than it is Vancouver. And I think there's a little malaise creeping into Vancouver. Like they're so way ahead of the pack in the standings that, it's hard to get yourself revved up and fired up every night to play your best. And Tocchet was talking about that yesterday, that, we've kind of let a little malaise creep in where, it's not balls to the wall, must win time of year right now for Vancouver because of where they are in the standings. All right, Chicago and Los Angeles. We've got the Kings minus 400 home favorites, 5.5 the total. This is nothing for me. Pass for me. Honestly, I have 0 here. Side total. I'm sick to my stomach. I lost over 5.5 with the Blackhawks and the Kings last Friday. 5-0 shutout for the Kings. Chicago couldn't even get 1 goal at home for that game going over the total. So I want nothing to do with this game. Chicago on the road, no, and 0 chance I'd do anything with LA as a minus 400 favorite. So yeah, pass for me. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I was just looking to see if there's anything I could grab. I mean, I don't even like LA team total over 3.5, and you're laying, minus 150 on it. So, again, obviously, I think LA wins this game, no problem. But I mean, even the puck line's minus 140, minus 145. There's just no reason to jump on this game on a 13 game card. So it'll be a pass for me as well. There's no real value.
Sabres are 3-6 on back-to-backs this season. 3-6 on the second night of back-to-back games. So it's not brutal. It's not good, but it's not brutal. It's not like the Islanders who haven't won on the second night of a back-to-back yet this season. So yeah, 3-6, and at plus 170, I still thought, worth a shot. What do you think here, Terry? Chicago, LA.
Yeah, well, what we've seen from the Chicago, they've won 4 of their last 6 games. So you have to give Chicago that. However, they've been against San Jose, Arizona, and Anaheim. So Chicago is beating up on bad teams, not so much against good teams. The Kings did just have that 5-0 shutout. No side play for me here, but I do have a player prop that just became available. Gave it out on Sunday's show. Tyler Johnson to get a point is plus 140 in this game. If Chicago is going to get some offense here, it's going to be that top line. He has a point in 5 of his last 6 games. So at plus 140, just to get a point, goal, or an assist, that'll be my only play here in this game.
All right, there you go. Tyler Johnson to record a point here for the Chicago Blackhawks. All right, Tampa Bay and Vegas. We've got the Vegas Golden Knights minus 135, home favorite, 6.5 the total. This is another pretty good game tonight on the Tuesday slate, especially with Tampa Bay. Don't look now, but suddenly, the last few games, Cooper just, carved them up after the loss to Calgary at home 6-3. I remember what he said, unacceptable. And it was about as angry as he's ever been. Now, he didn't scream and yell. He said it in his nice, calm tone of voice, but he was not happy after the Calgary game. Well, they've gone 3-0 since then. They destroyed Philly 7-0. It was the Bucks over the Eagles that night. 6-3 for the Lightning against the Rangers, a very good Ranger team. And look, we know that they've been pretty good at home most of the year. They actually struggled a bit, the last couple of weeks at home, but for the majority of the year, they've been very good at home. It's been on the road where they've had all kinds of problems, especially beating good teams. Well, they put an end to that with a extremely impressive victory in the Battle of Florida against the Florida Panthers on Saturday, 5-3 in that game. You could tell they were ready for Florida. Florida totally embarrassed them. I mean, Florida urinated all over the Tampa Bay Lightning in that last game, 9-2 in Tampa. It was an absolute beatdown by the Panthers in Tampa against the Lightning, a sheer symbol of how the Florida Panthers have overtaken the Tampa Bay Lightning as the best team in Florida right now. And Tampa remembered that embarrassing loss because they played, I think, one of their better games on Saturday against Florida. They raced out to the 4-0 lead. Yes, Florida made it nervous at the end for Tampa, got it to within 4-3, but Tampa Bay put it away, and they won that game 5-3. So they come in here playing well, playing some better hockey, and lighting it up offensively. They have scored 18 goals in the last 3 games combined, and all of a sudden it's looking like the Lightning of 2, 3, 4 years ago, where they are a very at least at the moment, they've been a very, very explosive team. There's no question about that. Kucherov's on a 10-game point streak, 4 goals, 6 assists. Steven Stamkos is starting to heat up right now for the Tampa Bay Lightning as well. Braden Point's been on fire for this group. And of course, Anthony Duclair has fit in nicely, giving them a little bit more offense in that top 6 forward group as well. So I think it's a tricky game for Vegas. Now, to Vegas's credit, they beat New Jersey. They could have destroyed New Jersey. That game is probably 6-1 Vegas, if not for Jake Allen, especially in the first 2 periods of that game. And I still don't want to take Vegas to me at home at this price. I don't think the value is great on Tampa Bay, but I'm respecting the way they're playing. And there is no Alex Pietrangelo for Vegas tonight. Hurdle is still on IR with Stone. Dorofiev's out as well. It's Andrei Vasilevsky and Aiden Hill as your goaltending matchup. Vasilevsky, though, does continue to give up goals, like even in the wins. He gave up 3 against the Rangers. He gave up 3 against Florida. Okay, he did have the shutout against Philly, but, this guy has been giving up 3 goals or more regularly. I think this could be an over, believe it or not, with the Lightning and the Golden Knights here tonight in this game. That is what I like here. A little over by trifecta here. 1.5, both teams to score first period, and over 6.5 full game. And give me the draw in this game. I do like the draw. I think it's going to be a pretty competitive game. I do like Tampa's slightly improved form. Their improved offensive form, I should say. Again, they're still giving up goals. They've given up 3 or more goals in 7 straight games, or 6 of their last 7 games. They've gone over in 5 straight games. 5 straight Lightning games have gone over. If you look at series history, believe it or not, 3 straight overs head-to-head with the Lightning and the Golden Knights. 5-4, 4-3. It was 5-4 in Tampa earlier this year, back in December. So, yeah, over trifecta, and give me a little sprinkle on the draw here as well with the Lightning and the Golden Knights. What do you think here, Matt? Tampa Bay, Vegas.
Yeah, I'm all over Tampa Bay one, to be honest with you. I mean, I just think it was a night. There's teams that win games, and I'm not sold on that they're back. We talked about Detroit. Are they really gonna make a little run? Are they dead? They look like they have a little life, things like that. But I mean, to beat Florida in the Battle of Florida, given how good Florida is playing right now, I mean, that's a big confidence boost. That's a big win for the team. So I'm going to ride the momentum. I'm going to take Tampa Bay money line here. I will be on the first period over as well, because they are giving up goals, and I don't trust Aiden Hill at all. And then the other play, and you may have to kind of bounce around books, because I know, like on Bovada, the team total for Tampa is just 2.5 minus 170. But I know on MGM I can buy that up. So I'm also going to probably jump on Tampa Bay team total over 3.5. You should be able to get a nice plus price on that one. So on the off chance it's like a 5-4 Vegas overtime win, you still get that win. But yeah, I think Tampa goes into Vegas, feeling really good about how they've played, at least as of very late. So I'm going to ride the momentum and be on Tampa Bay money line.
I would lean Tampa Bay in this game too. Like, if I were to bet a side, and I'm not going to, I would take Tampa Bay plus 115 before I take Vegas. But here's my issue. And I know they've played better lately the last few games, but their overall numbers still for the road, Tampa Bay, are pitiful. Like, this is a team that's a terrible road record still for the full season, 15 and 18. And Vegas has a good home record. I would still think that, given those numbers on the road for Tampa, I would want to get plus 130, plus 140, plus 150 even with Tampa Bay. To me, I'm not getting enough. There's not enough bang for my buck at plus 115 to take Tampa Bay. But I lean that way. I do. What do you think here, Terry? Tampa Bay, Vegas.
Well, I hope you guys, I would love to see Tampa Bay win this game, obviously, as a Wild fan. Vegas losing would be great for the Wild. But I like the draw. I'm with you, Ian, on the draw. Plus 380 at FanDuel for the draw in this game. Both teams playing well. 2 of the last 4 meetings have gone to overtime between these 2 teams. So there's past history for overtime. Tampa 4-1 in their last 5. Vegas 3-1 in their last 4. This just has the feeling of
and we got robbed of overtime in the meeting in Tampa Bay back in December with these 2 teams. It was 4-4. Nick Paul scores with 1:13 left in the third period to give them that 5-4 lead. We're 1:13 away from and I was on the draw in that game, and 1:13 away from cashing it. So,
and that's the thing about draws, is when you bet a draw, it's always going to be stressful. either you need a goal to tie it to get the draw, or you're watching hoping that nobody scores. So draws are always stressful, but obviously really nice to cash. So that's what I'm going to go with here as the draw on this one. And then player props, there's not much. A lot of the guys like Kucherov, Brandon Hagel, Point, they're all really consistent, but obviously priced where you can't bet them singly. So parlay pieces, Jack Eichel continues to shoot the puck. At least 3 shots on goal in 12 of his last 13 games. And Chandler Stevenson has an assist in 4 of his last 6 games. So that's someone I'd look at as well. But the draw for me in this one.
Yeah, no doubt. Definitely. I would look again at the when I look at Vegas. I know you've got your close shave Barbashev. You got him with Eichel and Marcia. So you got Stevenson. Waugh's on the second line center spot with Stevenson and Mantha. I think there's value on Waugh. Actually, Dorofeev, there was he might actually be playing tonight. I see that he's no, he's not. He's unavailable. They just haven't taken him out of the lineup on RotoWire yet. But Amadio and Carlson may be worth a look. And then for Tampa Bay. You look at their current lineup. Duclair is the main choice for me. I think Duclair has fit in nicely. He's with Point and Kucherov. He's getting all kinds of run, all kinds of ice time. He has gotten a point in all 3 games for the Lightning. You could put Duclair in a point. You could bet him to get a point, bet him to get an assist, bet him to get a goal. Anything Anthony Duclair right now is absolutely worth a look as far as props are concerned for the Tampa Bay Lightning right now. All right, we have finally reached the final game of this Tuesday card. Minnesota Wild, the part of the show Terry's been waiting for, taking on the Anaheim Ducks. Minnesota minus 225, road favorite, 6 the total. Hey, we always clown around with Matt whenever the Dallas game comes up on the show. We got to do the same with Terry when a Minnesota game comes up on the score on the show. But yeah, as far as this game goes, look, Anaheim. Just tough sledding for them right now. I don't know what more you can say. It's a team that the effort's there at times, but it's still at the end of the day 6-game losing streak for them. They've been atrocious at the defensive end of the ice. Giving up goals left and right. Again, against St. Louis, they give up a 4 spot. I thought Dostal played okay, but the roof caved in the third period. And that can happen for a team without confidence. Just when things go south, it all of a sudden goes south in a hurry. They get drilled 6-0 by Winnipeg the last time we saw John Gibson in net, and it is John Gibson, by the way, getting the start tonight for Anaheim. It'll be Philip Gustafson in net for the Minnesota Wild. Radko Gudas out on the blue line. That's a big loss because he's one of the guys that'll flatten somebody in front of the net, put someone on their can, put someone on their keister, clear the front of the net, block shots. And now that you don't have him, an already suspect defensive team becomes much worse. Going into a game like this. Obviously, I don't love this price on Minnesota. I'm going to approach it a different way, though, because you just look at how bad things have been for the Ducks, keeping the puck out, especially with Gibson in net. I think 3.5 at minus 110 or so is dirt cheap for Minnesota team total in this game. That's what I like. Minnesota team total over 3.5 here in this game against the Anaheim Ducks. I think that's the way you want to approach it. You figure that if Minnesota is going to win this game, they've got a chance to at least score 4 goals against an Anaheim team that has now given up at least 4 goals to the opponent in 5 of their last 6 games. So that's the bet for me, the only one in this one. Minnesota team total over 3.5 minus 110. What do you think here in this one, Matt? Wild Ducks.
Yeah, so this was definitely going to be a pass game for me. Again, I obviously lean Minnesota, but just not a ton of value. But I honestly didn't expect over 3.5 goals to be that low, so I actually may ride that with you. It's almost even money. I think Minnesota, if they're going to really make a push and continue to be in the mix, like 4 goals against the Ducks team is something you've got to do, and they've got the firepower to do it. So I may ride that play. I don't know. We'll see how the night goes. If it's a goal trending night, maybe I'll jump on the first period over just because it's a nice price. But yeah, I just don't know if I trust the Ducks at this point in time. So it might just be a Minnesota team total overplay for me.
People will see that the last time Anaheim played Minnesota just recently, it was 2-0 Minnesota, and say, oh, well, maybe that doesn't make that team total look as good. They did get Dostal that night in net for the Anaheim Ducks. To me, Dostal's the better goalie right now. I mean, look at John Gibson here. This is brutal for him. 4, 6, 6, and 6. He's given up 6 in his last 3 starts. Dallas, Chicago, and Winnipeg. Chicago, of all teams, got 6 past this guy. So, yeah, I'll take my chances. At plus 100 at Pinnacle for team total over 3.5 for Minnesota. Yeah, I'll take my chances. What do you think here, Terry? Minnesota, Anaheim.
Yeah, Dostal was the only reason that game was close. I said it that night. If Gibson was in net, that was 5-6-0. Dostal had no help whatsoever from the Ducks, but he was able to keep the game close. Looking at this game, the Wild 14-1 in the last 15 games against Anaheim. That's going back forever. 4 of the last 5 meetings, the Wild have won by multiple goals. The Wild 5-0-2 in their last 7, coming off a game against the Blues where the Wild should not have even got a point. They didn't show up the first 2 periods. They showed up in the third. I like them to show up tonight, right at the beginning of puck drop. The Ducks have lost 6 games in a row, all by multiple goals. They've given up 4 or more in 5 of their last 7 games. They've scored 2 or less in 6 games in a row. So the Ducks are not scoring. Looking at goaltenders, I am happy it's Gibson in this one. And then I'm not shocked. As I said earlier today, I expected Philip Gustafsson to start here in this one. Say Fleury for LA tomorrow. Gustafsson hasn't played in a little bit, but his last game was against Colorado, and he was fantastic. The only reason he gave up 2 goals and 40 shots, and the Wild went to overtime against Colorado. Gustafsson was a big reason why. I like the Wild in the puck line here, plus 120 earlier on in the day. Kaprizov anytime goal I got for plus 115, which is just crazy. As I said in the last few shows, leads the NHL in goals since the All-Star break, has won in 6 of his last 7 games. And looking at it as well, this Ducks team has the second worst power play penalty kill in the NHL. Gibson and net, you can get Boldy for a power play point, plus 170. Brock Faber's plus 290. Kaprizov, plus 120 for a power play point. I'm adding that. Zuccarello, plus 170. I'd look at that as well. That top power play unit, I think, is going to have a good night here against Gibson. So Kaprizov, anytime goal, power play point. He's been the main guy for offense for the Wild. One player for Anaheim, Frank Vetrano, hasn't been scoring or getting points, but he has been shooting the puck. 5 or more shots and goal in 4 of his last 5 games. So the only player showing up for the Ducks right now, Frank Vetrano.
All right, there we go. Terry liking a lot of props here in this game. So very good to see that. And like I said about this game as well, good point by Rocco. I agree with that to some extent, that without Joel Eriksson-Ek, the last 2 games, they've only scored 2 goals. They looked a little out of sync offensively. I do agree with that. And look, you're taking a 60-point in 66 games guy out of your lineup. 60 points in 66 games this year for Joel Eriksson-Ek for Minnesota. But I think tonight I can look past the fact that without him, they've only scored 2 in the last 2. I mean, this is an Anaheim team, and Gibson's I don't know if it's all Gibson struggling. I think he's also, you're right, there's a little mental checkout factor. I'm ending the season again for what seems like the millionth year in a row on a losing team going nowhere. It's hard to get yourself in a proper mental state to play well when that's the case. All right, great stuff. That is the Tuesday card. We hope you enjoyed it. Hit the like button on the way out. And a reminder, patreon.com/iceguys, $10 per month, Patreon exclusive live betcasts, many more coming in April and beyond. Daily sides, totals, and player props posted on the page each and every day. So make sure you sign up. Goalie charts, totals charts, and more bonus content as well. Make sure you sign up. Patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. Our next betcast next Tuesday, March 26th, 7 p.m. Eastern time. DM or email Alex or me for a spot on the betcast, and we will send you the link. This will be a public free-for-all betcast. Matt will be in San Jose that night for Stars versus Sharks, but he's going to check in for a bit during the betcast. So looking forward to that next Tuesday, March 26th. And again, check out the store, get your gear, and get your merch at the Ice Guys store over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. All right, back to wrap with Bargain Bin Special and Best Bet and Best Bet for this Tuesday, right after we hear from our great sponsors, Boston Hemp Inc. All right, Boston Hemp Inc. Check them out and get 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code IceGuys at bostonhempinc.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night. There's a monster slate of games to choose from. Matt, we'll start with you. Where are you going for the bargain bin tonight?
Yeah, so there's a couple plays I like, but I think what I'm going to end up landing on, just given that, I mean, honestly, they're both very similar situations. So I may mention both, but I'll let you know which one I'm going to go with. But they're both playing left wing on the first line on their teams. They've both been playing well as of late. It's Anthony Duclair and Tyler Bertuzzi over 2 or more points. I'm seeing Bertuzzi at like plus 400. Duclair is closer to plus 500. I think personally, I'm going to go with Bertuzzi tonight as my bargain bin. I obviously am fairly heavy on Toronto over 3.5. All the situation with everything going on in Philly and the scratches and the light decor at the moment. So I'm going to roll with Tyler Bertuzzi, but I just wanted to mention Anthony Duclair. I threw it in the chat as well, so I figured it was fine to mention the double play. But if Tampa is going to light up Vegas tonight and score some goals, I think that's another good option to look at. But sorry for the long-winded response, but yeah, Tyler Bertuzzi, 2 or more points tonight, plus 400 for Toronto. That's my bargain bin of the night.
There you go, Tyler Bertuzzi for the bargain bin special of the night for Matt Robinson. Terry, what do you got for bargain bin?
No parlay today because I've been getting one of the two the last couple shows, but it's just not going to come as a surprise. Give me Kirill Kaprizov to score 2 goals plus 500. I think that's a great price for Kirill. He's been the heart and soul of the Wild's offense lately, so I love that. Plus 500 for him to score 2 goals tonight.
It's Kirill the Thrill Kaprizov, plus 500 to get 2 goals tonight for the Minnesota Wild. Best bargain bin special, I should say, for Terry Edelman. My bargain bin special I'm going to give you 2. I'm going to give you 2. I'm on what Matt mentioned. Anthony Duclair, plus 320 at BetMGM. It's a great price. He's on the top line. He's had a point in every game since he's joined the Lightning, including goals in 2 of the 3 games. Anthony Duclair, Tampa Bay, plus 320. And the other one, we're going to go back to our old friend in St. Louis. You can find May in St. Louis, Colorado, and St. Louis. Plus 335 for Won't You Be My Neighbor, Jake Neighbors here for the St. Louis Blues. Plus 335 at Betano, plus 330 at FanDuel, 330 at PointsBet. So I like it. I couldn't choose between the 2, so I'm giving you both. 2 bargain bin specials for tonight. Anthony Duclair, Tampa Bay, plus 320. Jake Neighbors, St. Louis, plus 330 for my bargain bin specials of the night for this Tuesday. All right, best bets. Matt, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
Yeah, so I'm going to take this to my current home state of Nevada, into that Tampa Bay Vegas game. I'm going to take the first period over in this one. Tampa Bay has hit the first period over in 5 straight games, while Vegas has only hit it in 2 of their last 5. They've been shut out in the first period 3 straight games, so I'm sure they're going to want to score a goal early, and Tampa's going to be riding off that Battle of Florida wins. So Tampa Bay Vegas first period over 1.5. That's my best bet today.
All right, there you go. Tampa Bay Vegas first period over 1.5. Best bet for Matt Robinson. Terry Edelman, who will be back with us tomorrow as well. What do you like for best bet?
Yeah, I'm going with the Carolina Hurricanes, New York Islanders over 6 plus 100. I think that should be a 6.5. This, as Ian mentioned, this Carolina Hurricanes offense is on fire lately. I think they can get close to the total themselves. I like the Islanders to chip in a couple goals as well. They're desperate for points, so I think they'll play well. But I like the over 6. Ton of goals in Carolina and New York.
All right. Whoops. There we go. Over 6. Carolina, New York Islanders. Best bet for Terry Edelman. My best bet, it's also going to be on and over, but it's going to be from a different game. We're going to go to that same game that our guy Matt Robinson was talking about. And my best bet's going to come from Tampa Bay Vegas, but instead of the first period over, it's going to be the full game over with the Lightning and the Golden Knights. Over 6.5, minus 105. We're going to ride this 5-game Tampa Bay over streak. I'm still not sold on the Vegas defense. And to be honest, offensively, I think they'll score tonight too, because look, they could have had 7 against New Jersey. The pace too in that game, New Jersey, Vegas, it was an under. The under was never in doubt, but the pace was off the charts. There were chances galore. The puck just didn't go in. There could have been a lot more goals in that Jersey Vegas game over the weekend. So I think the goals that we could have seen that game and we didn't, we'll see those goals tonight in Vegas with the Lightning and the Golden Knights. And again, 3 straight overs head-to-head between the two teams as well. Tampa Bay, Vegas, over 6.5, minus 105 for my best bet here for this Tuesday NHL card. That'll wrap it up for this Tuesday edition of the show. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. And if you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms. For Matt Robinson and Terry Edelman, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we'll be back tomorrow on Wednesday for another edition of the Ice Guys.